Good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a great day. What I need you to do right now is get out your homework. Get out your homework. All right. What we're going to do is I'm going to do two things right now. First, we're going to go over the answers, and then you're going to turn in your homework. Okay, so that's going to be really brief. But secondly, I'm going to do your homework for you after you've turned it in to show you what I expect. As I was looking through homework yesterday, I had a lot of people have very, very, very little work. And like I said, it's not home answers, it's homework. So first, we're going to go through the answers. You can check yours and see what you got right and what you got wrong. All right, so here's the answers. On last night's homework, on number 19, the length of FH should have been 4.5. On number 20, the length of GH should have been 2.5. 21, the length of EH should have been 4 5/6. Number 22, the length of X should have been 3, or the value of X is 3. Number 23, the length of AB is 10. 24, the length of BD is 14. And 25, the length of CE is 17. Then we get on to the angles. Number 26, the measure of angle QOR is 35 degrees. 27, the measure of angle POS is 65 degrees. 28, the measure of angle ROS is 13 degrees. 29, the length of EF is 3. And 30, the length of AG is 11. All right, now that you've seen your answers, your homework is not going to be graded on correctness. Your homework is solely going to be graded on how much work you did. And so now you can see which ones you got right and which ones you got wrong. You can mark yours wrong on your paper, kind of make a note of it, so that way as we're going through the problems, you really know which ones that you got to pay attention to, the ones that you got wrong. All right, so go ahead and hand those in. We can pause the video right here, and then we'll start working through it. All right, so now let's get going. Okay, so here's your homework assignment. We started off with this first three problems, 19, 20, and 21. Now, I know that the math on these is very simple. I know it's just not real challenging, but I need to see that you understand the geometry. I know everybody in here can do some basic arithmetic, but I want to see that you understand the geometry of it all. And so as I said before, we want to start with the truth. So on number 19, on my paper, what I would do is I'd say, okay, I'm doing number 19. That's a little chubby. Okay, let's try that again. All right, on number 19, I'd say, well, I'm looking for the length of FH. And I know that the length of FH is equal to the absolute value of wherever F is minus wherever H is. And so therefore, I'm looking for the absolute value. I look where F is. F is at -1 minus wherever H is. H is at 3.5. And so -1 minus 3.5 is going to be -4.5. I have to take the absolute value of that, and that is 4.5. So the length of FH is 4.5. This is how much work I'm looking for you to have. Now, I know very few of you are going to have this much work, and I'm going to give you a little bit of grace on these first few days, but this is what I'm looking for. A week from now, if you only have an answer and you don't have this kind of stuff, your homework means nothing to me. All right, number 20. On number 20, it says, hey, we're looking for the length of GH. Again, I know that the length of GH is going to be the absolute value of wherever G is minus wherever H is. So I go, well, that's going to be absolute value. G is at 2, and H, again, is at 3.5. And so 2 minus 3.5 is going to be -1.5. Absolute value of -1.5 is 1.5. So the length of GH, and remember, we said that when we have the two letters put together with nothing up above them, that's red. The length of segment GH, or the length of GH, is 1.5. Okay, and lastly, we got to do number 21 there. It says EH, and so I'm going to kind of scroll down here to give myself a little bit more room. But number 21, the length of EH is, of course, going to be the absolute value of wherever E is minus wherever H is. So I now have to go look, and so E is at -1 1/3, and H is at 3.5. So I say -1 1/3 minus H 3.5. All right, now this has to do with a little bit of mixed numbers, common denominators, and things like that. Now that was 5th grade and 6th grade math. You might not have practiced it since then, but that was old math. I'm looking for you to understand the geometry. If you need a little bit more help on that, maybe you can go to Khan Academy and do common denominators, things like that. But right now, I'm just going to get through the geometry of it. I know that negative 1 1/3 minus 3 1/2 is negative 4 and 5/6. And the absolute value of negative 4 and 5/6 is clearly 4 and 5/6. So the length of EH is 4 and 5/6. All right, let's move on. The next set had to do with the segment addition postulate. And I know that a lot of you are way talented and you can do this kind of stuff in your head. And I get that. But since you can't turn your brain in for homework, I need to see what you know. So if I was doing this, if this was your homework page, this is what I'm talking about. Like, this is how much work I'm looking for 19, 20, and 21. So for now, for 22 through 25, I'm going to show you how much work I'm expecting. So for number 22, this is exactly what I do. I say, okay, number 22. It tells me that the length of AC is 16. Well, the segment addition postulate tells me that the length of AB plus the length of BC is equal to the length of AC. All right? That's the truth that I'm starting with. And then I substitute in the things I know. The length of AB is x plus 7. The length of BC is 2x. And the length of AC is 16. So x plus the 2x gives me 3x plus 7 equals 16. A little bit of basic algebra, subtract the 7 from both sides. 3x is equal to 9, divide both sides by 3, and x is equal to 3. So the answer to the question, what is x? Well, x is equal to 3. So then we move on. Number 23. Number 23 says, what's the length of AB? Well, that's simple. The length of AB, it says clearly right there, is x plus 7. And then we have to put in or substitute in that x value. So we go the length of AB is equal to 3 plus 7, which is 10. And I know that might seem really simple, but you got to show me that you know some of this stuff. Okay? Look at number 24. What's the length of BD? Well, let's do that one. Number 24, the length of BD. As I look at that, I know that BD is really kind of the collection of BC and CD. And so that's how I'm going to write it. So I'm going to say, well, I know the segment addition postulate tells me that the length of BC plus the length of CD is equal to the length of BD. So then I go back and look and see what I have. Well, the length of BC is 2x, and the length of CD is 3x minus 1. So therefore, the length of BD, I don't know yet. But what other thing do I know? Well, I know the value of x. It's right there. And so I plug that in or substitute that in. And I say, well, this is 2 times x plus 3 times x minus 1 equals the length of BD. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. Minus 1 equals the length of BD. And do all this. 6 plus 9 is 15. Minus 1 is 14. So therefore, the length of BD is 14. I know. Man, you look and you go, all that work for just something so simple, it shows me that you know what you're talking about. So let's take a look at number 25. Okay, go back up here. 25 says, what's the length of CE? Well, hopefully by this point, you're realizing with every one of these problems, we got to start with what we know to be true. So we know the length of CD plus the length of DE has got to add up to the length of CE. And then we substitute in the things we know. Length of CD is 3x minus 1. The length of DE is 2x plus 3. And that will give us the length of CE. Okay, I substitute in my x value. I know my x value is 3. So I get 3 times 3 minus 1 plus 2 times 3 plus 3 equals CE. Well, 3 times 3 is 9 minus 1 plus 2 times 3 is 6 plus 3 equals CE. 9 minus 1 is 8 plus 6 more is 14 plus 3 more is 17. The length of CE is 17. All right, let's move on to number 26. 26 through 28 all had to do with the angle addition postulate. And in the same way, I'm looking for work. I know some of even the best students I had on Wednesday had no work on these and just simply had an answer because they knew that they could kind of look at some of these numbers involved and they could just kind of do a little bit of math in their head and kind of get it all worked out. But that's not what I'm looking for. I need to know that you know what you're doing. Okay, so let's try this. All right, number 26, it deals with, it deals with angle POQ, and it deals with angle POR, and it asks about this angle in between them, QOR, okay? And so we got to deal with that. And so we look and go, well, I'm going to say for number 26, I know that the measure of angle POQ plus the measure of angle QOR all adds up to be the measure of angle POR. Now look back and see what I'm talking about. I'm saying that if you know the size of this one and you add the size of this one, that you're going to get the size of the whole thing. Those two parts add up to be the whole thing. That's all I'm saying. All right, so we'll get rid of all that extra. So now I substitute in the things I know. I've got these values given to me right here. And it says the measure of angle POQ is 24, measure of angle POR is 59. So I go down here, measure of angle POQ is 24. Wrote that a little wrong. So I just say 24 plus the measure of angle QOR, which I don't know, is equal to the measure of angle POR. And POR was 59. 59 degrees. All right, easy to solve this. Subtract 24 from both sides, and sure enough, the measure of angle QOR is 59 minus 24 is going to give us 35 degrees. Super simple problem, but I need to know that you know what's going on. Number 27, a little bit more complicated. This time, it gives us basically all three angles. It gives us angle POQ, angle QOR, and angle ROS, and it says, hey, how big is the whole thing? Well, clearly we just have to add them all up. So I'm going to say the measure of angle POQ plus the measure of angle QOR plus the measure of angle ROS all add up to be the measure of angle POS. And it gives us all of those pieces. What are they? They're 19, 31, and 15. So you go 19 degrees plus 31 degrees plus 15 degrees all add up to be the measure of angle POS. So 19 and 31 is 50. 50 plus 60 or plus 15 more is 65 degrees. So that's the measure of angle POS. All right, lastly, number 28. 28's got a little bit more going on with it. It's actually two problems in one. All right, let me get rid of all this extra stuff here. On number 28, it says, well, we're given the measure of angle QOS, and we're given the measure of angle POR. Notice with POR and QOS, those two kind of overlap each other. Okay, they overlap on QOR, this region right in here. So it tells us how big QOS is, tells us how big angle POR is, and then it tells us how big angle POQ, this part up here, is. And it's asking how big this little part is. So I've actually got to do the angle addition postulate twice to be able to do this problem well. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, I know the top section. I know that the measure of angle POQ plus the measure of angle QOR equals the measure of angle POR. And I substitute in the things I know. It says it says POR is 61. So that goes here, 61 degrees. It says the measure of angle POQ is 28. So that goes here, 28 degrees. And this is the one I don't know, measure of angle QOR. So I can just subtract the 28 from both sides, and I realize that the measure of angle QOR is 33 degrees. Well, that's simple enough. But now I've got to do that again, because that's not the question I was asked. I wasn't asked how big QOR was, but I need that to be able to figure out how big measure of angle ROS is. And so because I know that the measure of angle QOR, let's see here, let me make this just a little bit smaller. I know the measure of angle QOR plus the measure of angle ROS all adds up to be the measure of angle QOS. And now I can substitute in the things I know. I know QOR, that was from right here. And so I say 33 degrees plus the measure of angle ROS. Well, do I have that one? Nope, that's the one I'm looking for, but I have QOS. QOS right here says 46 degrees. So I'm going to add the measure of angle ROS equals 46 degrees. Again, if I'm not starting with a truth like this or like this problem becomes really difficult really fast. This helps me keep everything straight. I go ahead and subtract the 33 from both sides, and I realize that the measure of angle ROS is 13 degrees. All right, and there we go. So that was number 28. Almost done. Here's our last few problems. We had 29 and 30. Now this is just an opportunity to practice this idea of understanding congruence. It says, hey, how big's EF? Well, what I do know about EF is that it is the same length as EG because they both have that single dash. And EG is given right here. It says it's 3. And so if I was doing this one, I would say, man, that's easy because I know that segment EF is congruent to segment EG. So therefore, they are the same length. Length of EF is equal to the length of EG. And I know that EG, it says right up there, is 3. So therefore, the length of EF is 3. Doing number 30, you can do it very similar. You can say, ooh, man, this one we could even use the segment addition postulate because this has got 2 parts. We could say that the length of AE plus the length of what? EG all adds up to be the length of AG. And I know you're going, what? Are you kidding me? Well, let's shortcut this one a little bit just for the sake of time. We know AE right here is the same length as BE. And it tells us that EB or BE is 8. So therefore, I know that this part is 8. Now, we just saw earlier how big EG was. That's 3. And so we know that those two are going to add up to be whatever the length of AG is. So therefore, the length of AG is equal to 11. Well, and there's your entire homework, done in about 15 minutes or so, showing absolutely every single step. This is what I expect of you from here on out. So as you're doing your homework, don't try to do a bunch of mental math. Show me the things that you know. I know that you can do the arithmetic in your head, and that's fine, but I need to see the proof that you know the geometry. I hope you guys understood this. If you need to go back and kind of rewatch part of it, you're welcome to. Either way, I hope you have a great day.